Okay, on page 194, defining the highlight and shadow. In this section, you'll set the highlight and shadow to predetermined values using the set white point and set black point tools available in the Curves Adjustments panel. Before you do this, you'll determine what those values should be. This is a critical part of the process, as the default for the white point is 0, meaning the lightest part of the image will have no value when printed, and any detail in this area will be lost. Some images can get away with not having tonal values in very bright areas. Typically, reflections from metal, fire, and extremely sunlit areas, as well as reflections off other shiny objects like jewelry, do not have value in those reflective areas. These are referred to as specular highlights. By leaving them without any value, it helps the rest of the image look balanced and allows the shine to pop out of the image. See the figure below for an example. This image has specular highlights, which should be left with a value of 0. So you can see the white areas make it pop more and more shiny looking. Locating the white and black point. Back before digital imagery became so accessible, highly skilled scanner operators used large drum scanners to scan and color correct images. Back then, color experts followed many of the same steps that you will learn in this lesson. The most important step would be defining the tone curve based on what the operator thought should be defined as the lightest part of the tone curve and the darkest. There are many factors that can determine what happens to be a simple task. To produce the best image, you need to know where the image will be used, shiny coated paper, newsprint, or on screen only. Before you get started, you will change a simple preference to make it easier for you to interpret the Curves Adjustment panel. With the Curves Adjustment panel open, I think I want to go here. Yep, in my history, I want to go to open and I want to go to curves one layer. With the Curves Adjustment panel open, click on the panel menu in the upper right corner and select Curves Display Options. Right here. Curves Display Options. The Curves Display Options dialog box pops up. Choose Show Amount of Pigment Ink %, then click OK. Okay, and I can see that that's what mine is already chosen. Whether you work on print or web images, it can be helpful to visually interpret the Curves panel based upon ink, as this puts the lightest colors of the image in the lower left and the darkest part of the image in the upper right. Inputting the white and black point values. The process of defining values for the lightest and the darkest points in your image is not difficult, but it helps if you know where the image is going to be used. If you have a good relationship with a printer, they can tell you what white point, the lightest, or black point, the darkest, values work best for their presses and material that you are printing on. Alternatively, you can use a generic value suggested in this book. The values shown in this example are good for typical printing setups and for screen display. Double-click on the Set White Point button found in the Curves Adjustments panel. One of these. Set white point button. I think that must be it. Yeah, this one here. and it says we're supposed to right click it or double click it. The color picker box appears. Even though you are in RGB, you can still set values in any of the color environments displayed in this window. In the example, you'll use CMYK values. So we're going to type 5 for the C right here. We're going to type 5, and then for C, and then M will be 3, and then 3 for yellow, and K, black, we're going to make that be 0. A warning dialog box appears asking if you would like to save the target values. Say yes. I do not see the warning sign. Oh, click OK. Maybe that's why. And there's the warning one. Save the new target colors as default, and we're going to say yes. Now, double click on the Set Black Point button, which is probably this one. We'll double click it. If you have properly defined ink and paper in your color settings dialog box, you do not need to change the black point values. If you are not sure where you are going to print, or if you are going to use your image on screen, or you can use the values in the then you can use the values in the next step. So we're going to type 65 in C, 53 in M. Y will be 51, and K will be 95, and then OK. And when the warning pops up, click yes. It's important to note that your printer may be able to achieve a richer black than the one offered here. If you have a relationship with the printer, ask for their maximum black value and enter it here. Otherwise, use these standard values. Now select the highlight slider. Oh, right here. And then hold down the Alt key and slide it to the right. So here's the slider thing, and I'm going to hold down the Alt key and slide it to the right. And it says, notice that the image appears posterized. This is the automatic clipping that is visible when you hold down the Alt key. The clipping makes it easier to locate the darkest and lightest areas of an image, an essential task if you're trying to improve an image's tonal values. In this example, the flames in the baseball hat are visible in the preview, indicating that area is recognized as one of the lightest parts of the image. Actually, when you just click, I'm going to let go of it here. When you just point at that and you hold down the Alt key and you click, there you can see that the hat, see the flames up here? It's one of the lightest colors, is what they're saying. Oops. Okay. If you are working on your own image and don't immediately see the lightest part of the image, you can Alt drag until a light part of your image is highlighted. Notice that there are other light areas in this image, but you are focusing on the primary subject, which is the boy. If you are working on a different image, you might notice that there are some other light areas that appear that would be considered specular highlights. It helps to remember that if a light point appears that belongs to something shiny, that you should ignore it and drag the slider to the right until you find the first legitimate non-specular highlight. In the next step, you will simply mark this light area with a color sampler on the image. This way you can refer back to it at a later time. With the Set White Pointer eyedrop, right here, Okay, so it says with the set white pointer eyedrop, so right here is a set white pointer, or no, this one is. Hover over the image and hold down the Alt key. Hover over the image and hold down the Alt key. The image now displays in the posterized view again. Here is where it might get tricky. Add the Shift key to this configuration. Okay, why is that? Oh, we want the white area. Okay, hold over it and then do Alt. There we go. Add the Shift key to this configuration. Your pointer changes into the color sampler. There. Click on the light area you found in the flame. A color sample appears on the image, but no change has been made to the image. Click on the light area. Okay, so right here, the flame, I'm gonna click on the blue area. A color sample appears on the image, but no change has yet been made. If necessary, you can reposition the color sample by holding down the Shift key and dragging to a new location. Make sure that the set white point eyedropper is still selected and click on the color sampler you just placed. By clicking on the color sampler, you define this area of the image as the lightest point on the tonal curve. It is adjusted to your newly defined highlight color values. If this gives you unexpected results, you might have missed the color sampler. You can undo this by pressing Control-Z. I'm going to do Control-Z. And then try clicking on the white area of the flame again. Keep in mind that the color sampler that you dropped is only a marker. You do not have to move the sampler to change the highlight. Now you will set the black or darkest part of your image. So right here it looks like, well, did we set it? Yeah, I think we did. I'm going to go back to the curves layer and I'm going to do Alt, click again. Okay. And then I think that moved these. So if you're not seeing the entire image, press Control-0 to make the image fit in the window. Control-0. There we go. Select the shadow slider on the properties panel and hold down the Alt key. So point here and hold down the Alt key. And drag the slider toward the left. When dragging the slider slowly, notice that clipping appears, indicating with darker colors the shadow areas of this image. Notice that there are many shadow areas in this image, but you can see that the underside of the brim of the hat appears most instantly, indicating that it is the darkest of the image. See how it's pure black? Are we okay? Depending upon the input device you might have, many areas display as the darkest areas of an image. This is an indication that the input device, whether a scanner or camera, does not have a large dynamic range of tonal values that it can record. You might have to take a logical guess as to what is the darkest part of the image. Make sure that the set black point eyedropper is selected right here. Set black. And then hold down the Alt Shift keys and click on the darkest shadow area to leave a color sampler. Right up here, one of these areas. With the set black pointer eyedrop still selected, click on the color sampler that you dropped on the image. Right here. This has now been set in the darkest area of the image using the values you input earlier in this example. You should already see a difference in the image. A slight color cast has been removed, and the colors look a little cleaner, but you're not done yet. The next step involves balancing the midtones of the image. Leave the curved properties panel visible. I'm going to redo the white one too. Let's go properties, because I see how this is now like that. So here's the white, and I'm going to hold down the Alt Shift, and I'm going to click the hat. Okay, and there I left a sampler, and now I'm going to click it. And there, now I have another modifier, and it did change the image. So leave this open because you're going to use it again.